Hello, here's my Lord of the Rings Return to Moria Durin's Forge base in campaign. Very similar to the old version because I've revained my old seed that has been my main campaign in preparation for Durin's folk. Specifically, out everything, and there were areas where I could fortify, for the delvings as mining outposts for the NPC dwarves. Here is my DLC corner. Decided to go with the ritual rune on the Rohirrim spear since it's just a clone of the Eregion spear anyway, so it would roughly same setup for the Orc Hunter stuff, but I rearranged it a bit because I decided I would rather have a bit more space on there for that's in front of me for the chair instead of having it over here, and then of course the armor stand for the Bjorning, of course tiled hearths of the Yuletide variety on both sides just to mix things up a little, then of course Endcraft, and then all the Welling springs. Mirrored on the other side with space for depending on what else we get. Then my usual mini tree farm setup and dark crops. I liked the weapon racks over here for the wood cutting axes instead of, because this is valuable dark crop real estate over here, so. And then I've got, mainly used the iron one, but I got space for the steel and Belaghost addition to the Khazad steel, and then space for the Mithril ones I normally carry. Bat droppings, of course. Then here's my storage over here, all palletized up where with overflow chests for wood and stone products. And got, of course, coal, resin, salt, metal fragments, natural fiber, all the iron and steel, all the copper, tin, bronze, silver, shane ore, then Khazad steel, gold, then true quartz and sunstone mixed in Nogrod, all the star metal, the diurnal iron, and last but not least the mithril. Of course, I've got this is my bulk smelting setup over here, and I've got 2 Ufon furnaces in addition to the great furnace of Durin, so I've got plenty of smelting space, and of course coins over here. Here's my crop farm. I finally did a minor adjustment where I added more sunions and cabbage, just because I end up going through more sunions than anything than most of the other crops for lunches, and then cabbage just to make it a little easier to ensure I don't run out due to all the brewing needs for it. So I've moved things around, and then I've got this spotted 2 over here. Plots. Could have technically put another one over here if I didn't do this, but it's fine. All my food storage. Got chair set up at the table, set up all the cooking stations. And I finally decided to just get 4 more ovens just so I can do technically 3 stacks of rations at once if need be. Then grist mill, all the ingredients for that, and then the alley bloom and blessing, of course. Then brewing and brew skins, and then rations. The brew kettle is empty, just as because I prefer to use brew tanks if at all possible, at least. And I've got all the brews over here, including a wall of wander kegs, specifically because of the brew tank stuff. Now I don't really use the wander kegs much. In fact, I never really use them at all, but if we ever get the pack goat, then having that wall of wander kegs as to provide all the options. It's basically everything minus Mirror, which is also, I also have Mirror in the with the rest of my Masterworks as my token one if I'm not doing all these. And then only one I don't have is Evening Ale, because I figure it's an overkill for a solo world like this. We've got Mirror, Evening Ale, Dawnbreak, Scour Pilsner, Smoked Mead. This was Fanghorn Draught, but I determined that Fanghorn Draught is very, very cheap in the King's Brew tank, so I moved it, got a 4th brew King's Brew tank and put it over here. And then, so we got Mulled Cider, Ironheart Stout, and Hopgoblet Lager. And then back over here, we got Dark Ice Stout, Brewed Carrot Tea, and Orcish Medicine. That's every brew ready to go, including plenty of, and then I got a nice selection of brew skins set up. Extra one for Mirror and Orcish Medicine, and then 2 for Dawnbreak and Scar Pilsner. Scar Pilsner is probably overkill at this point because they're about to give us the ability to destroy the mushrooms. But if I am in a particularly poisonous area, it'd probably come in handy to have the option to carry 2 of those. Same with, and then Dawnbreak is specifically for use in the darkest deeps, and of course helps against the Shadow Works if an emergency. So I've got Mirror, Hopgoblet Lager, Ironheart Stout, Orcish Medicine, Dark Ice Stout, Brewed Carrot Tea. So I only have 1 of all the DLC ones. And I decided to stop carrying a box, at least until we able to grow sunken moss or get a better supply of it, and Mahal's gift. Then for expeditions, I've decided that I'm probably going to cut the 2nd axe in my hammer for wood cutting, and then just run wood scraps and natural fiber, and then cut all the other raw materials for 2 rows, unless something changes. And then over here, I've got my dark crops, of course. Plenty of space to augment it if we get the ability to grow blaze shrooms and sunken moss. And then here's all my packs. An empty Mountaineer's pack. I'm not sure if I'm going to convert that to expedition use and just put the 2 rows in there or not. I'm unsure what I want to do. And then we've got an Adventurous Pact. Once I get enough resources, it'll be fully stocked, similar to the Mountaineer's pack, but without the Bruskin row, basically, roughly. And then I've got this funny little scout pack set up with all this. Clean these biltong for fun. Just if I want to screw around with a really early game setup and just run around and be able to halfway survive. And then this is torches and flares. Some worlds I have it also as overflow weapons because I don't generally keep a lot of torches and flares on hand. But and if hopefully we get that miner's lamp, that would be cool, and I could stop worrying about torches at all, and maybe even not always run my Zarok torch under most circumstances. Then this is my artifacts. Just get the balance letter and the worn down ring, since I know they have indicated we will probably end up using the worn down ring at some point. And my overflown tomes and scrolls if we someday. Scrolls keep lagging behind, like consistently for drop rate. It's weird. Then we got the Lord of Moria spot ready to go. When we get cosmetic display, they said they do it, so I'm trusting that they will. Of course, all of my masterworks, including the spot for my Zarok torch, and the Miravor wander keg specifically over here. And we got all of the weapons and armor, space for literally everything. Including the sandbox exclusives, the loom, spinning wheel, and then hide, leather, and claw storage, the airborne steel setup. Of course, that's iron and the other early game armors and helmets, and all the elven and Narvies and miscellaneous related ones. This would be for the gatherer's hat for fun. Then we got the ink grinder and the semi-precious gems, my picks and hammers, including space for the makeshift, the field crafted ones, pick and hammer, pick and axe. And this is a spot for my good hammer and axe, hammer and pickaxe. The Nograd gear ready to go. Of course, the bow and crossbow setup, and then arrows and bolts for it at by the workbench and the Albax as well. And then Belaghost and first age weapons and armor, precious gems and the rune table, blaze shrooms, and my mini smelting setup if I just want to smelt a little bit. And then, of course, a forge and the Gundabad slag and scales. I used to put scales in with the hide and leather for the longest time, but I decided that since they're so used for a variety of purposes, including some forging, I'll just put them over here, because I'm not likely to want to keep a ton of Gundabad slag on hand, but at least until we get that salt supply cleaned up. And repair smithy and salt bath to get me the Durinal iron, and of course the Khazad and Dimrul weapons and armor, the Durin's Guard and Mithril, and the Kuzil Forge, and then my other Kuzil Ufon Furnace. So now I have a full base ready to go. And then got my treasure hoards over here and my Moria Flame tucked away back here. So now I am set up and ready to go for Durin's Folk, as best I can be. Thanks.